Hello, I'm Sally Pointer. Today I'm at the Weald and Downland Open Air Museum in the south of England. They're having their Textiles Weekend and I'm going to be here demonstrating Nalbinding. Now they've put me in their Saxon house today. I just wanted to give you a quick view of some of the sites here. It's a really amazing place. In the background you can see lots of reconstructed buildings, many of them brought from different parts of the countryside. And it's a fantastic place for a day out. There's going to be lots of people in costume today, lots of different techniques, always lots of lovely things to see and do. One of the things that's lovely about visiting a site like the Weald and Downland are the recreations of the gardens. And so many of these houses have got beautifully laid out and lovingly cared for gardens that represent the sorts of things that people would have been growing at a given point in history. A lot of these gardens have been laid out with food and medicine in mind, but I can spot some dye plants in amongst them. So there's Johnswort here, that gives quite an interesting range of colours, including red and green and black. There's soapwort over here, not a dye, but very, very useful in preparing textiles and washing them later on. And I'm sure I'll find some other interesting plants as I wend my way up through the site, up into the woods to find the cottage that I'm going to be based in this weekend. There's a walnut tree here, wonderful crop of walnuts on it. The walnuts were probably introduced to Britain by the Romans, and quite a lot of towns and villages have really good walnut trees still in them. Fabulous resource, excellent nuts for eating, but the husks make a really permanent reddish brown dye, really warm and rich, and it has the benefit of not needing a mordant. The Anglo-Saxon Hall at the Weald and Downland Open Air Museum has been reconstructed from archaeological finds from the mid-10th century. That makes it about the same date as sites like Coppergate up in York, and it's a lovely exploration of what a solidly built, comfortable family hall would have looked like a few generations before the Norman conquest. Set in the woodland, this Saxon house is surrounded by wonderful natural resources. There's berries for the picking, many small woodland plants, hazel, ash, beech, maple. A little bit further up the trail quite a lot is coppiced, so there would have been plenty of wood for firewood and for charcoal and for building projects. Today is a beautiful, peaceful location. I expect it won't be so peaceful when we get the public in very soon, but I'm looking forward to that. It'd be really nice to share these craft skills with a new generation of people. The hazelnuts are just about ripe now. I passed several squirrels on my way up to the site this morning. I'm sure our Anglo-Saxon ancestors would have had the same battles with them as we do today. I shall beat the squirrels to this little bunch and they can be a nice addition to my lunch today. Delicious. Approaching the house, there's a long, narrow window, and I've set up all my supplies for the day in it. So I've got things here that represent the whole history of Nalbinding. I've got plant fibres, I've got flax, I've got nettle, I've got hemp, and I've got the cordage and the simple looping made from it. I've got all sorts of naturally dyed yarns, and then I've got the more modern styles of Nalbinding, starting with the older socks, these little Coptic pairs, which are much earlier than the Anglo-Saxons. They're from approximately the 4th century. You'd find those in places like Roman Egypt. I've got neighbouring woodworkers today, which is lovely, really nice to have some company. The main things we're going to be working on are socks. Now, the most famous pair of socks in Britain is the Coppergate sock from Viking Age York, same date as this house. And the big catch today is that we don't know for certain that the Anglo-Saxons are Nalbinding, What we do know though is that elsewhere in the world at this time, in cultures that have contact with the Anglo-Saxons, it's very much alive and well. So one of my big tasks today is to make sure when I'm talking to visitors that I don't mislead them into thinking that we've got firm evidence for Anglo-Saxon Nalbinding, but to show them what's happening in the world at this stage in this very interesting craft, and hopefully get some people having a go. We might introduce people to a little bit of spinning. Sorry if it's a bit dark, there's no lights in these houses of course, but we'll certainly introduce people to cord making, to simple looping, and hopefully moving them on to some more interesting stitches. Oh. First, they've got to come and find us though. This house is just a tiny bit out of the way, which means the visitors that you get to a site like this on a day like this really want to be here. I always think of it as a quality, not quantity sort of location. We get the very, very best visitors when they have to work a little bit harder to get to the site. It is accessible. You'd still get up here with pushchairs and wheelchairs and things, but you definitely have to want to be here. The dyes I'm using in today's socks are all naturally dyed. So the oranges and the pinks have come from madder, the blue is woad, yellow is weld, there's some brown from walnut here. And used together, these two socks are extremely old, they're half pairs. Some were made donkeys years ago now. And with the right dyes and the right treatment, they last a very, very long time, even under normal wear and tear. So today I'm going to be making a pair of socks, and I find it's very useful to always make both pairs at the same time. So I've just finished a section in the peachy madder colour, and I'm going on to a stripe and woad. By always doing one length of yarn on one and one on the other, I don't have to think about a pattern. Any increases I can just duplicate on each side until they match. It makes life so much simpler. At the end of day one, I've got 2 toe sections finished on my socks. Now, they are coming out a bit on the big side. That's what I get for talking to people rather than concentrating on my work, but that's absolutely fine. I've already decided that when this pair are finished, they're going to be fulled to shrink and thicken them. Now, all fulling means is washing them in hot soapy water, lots of agitation, so that they felt a bit. They're going to shrink up, tighten, and that make them into really good slipper socks. Nothing's ever lost when you're doing these things. So the plan for today is to continue the foot section, see how far we get with that. I'm unlikely to get the whole pair finished this weekend. We've had so many wonderful visitors that I'm spending more time teaching people the basic stitch and chatting than I am really getting on with these. A quick check-in just before lunch. We're doing really well with the length on these now. It won't be too long before I'm considering starting to make the turning for the heel. So the stitch I'm doing is a variation on the York stitch, which is based on the 10th century find from Coppergate. It's not a million miles removed from blanket stitch. Needle goes into the next available hole. The blanket stitch should come straight up. The York stitch proper would pick up 2 stitches, and I did this at the start of the toe where I wanted it really thick. But because this is a chunky yarn, it's actually working better with a single pickup. So needle goes in, picks up 1 loop, pulls through. Needle goes in, picks up 1 loop, pulls through. It's very straightforward. Unlike the continental stitches, there's no thumb tensioning. You just pull it up till it's the right size. I'm about to make the turning for the heel. The foot is long enough now. I've chained a long strip, and what I'm going to do, if I can do this without getting into tangle, is bring this round, join it up onto this bit, continue to work the ankle, which will come up here, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to work the heel in a circular fashion. Just coming up on the end of the day now, and I'm a long way from finishing these socks, but you can see where they're going. So for the heel, we've taken a strip, that's the brown bit dyed in walnut, around the back of the heel, and we're working up the ankle, and then I'll pick up all the way around the heel section and I'll decrease down in a spiral, essentially repeating the toe. I might do that in the double thick section. The second sock is ready to have the heel and ankle worked as well. but we've certainly done enough to be able to talk to lots and lots of lovely visitors over the weekend about Nalbinding and how it's changed through time and in different countries and different areas, and how it works with different materials. If you're interested in finding out more about Nalbinding, the Weald and Downland does run courses. I'm certainly doing one for them early next year. I've got videos as well on other aspects of it, and there are an increasing number of resources both on the internet generally and on YouTube specifically about how Nalbinding works, its history, and how to do different stitches. I have had the most fantastic time at the Weald and Downland this weekend. I definitely have the best job in the world, and I'm looking forward to showing you some more insights from my working life in future videos. Bye for now.